What's good, YouTube? It's your boy, that funny killer, Ray, and I'm back with another. Today we got top 10 most dangerous kids in the world. I ain't gonna lie, I'm ready. If I see these niggas, hey, if I see them, boy, I'm gonna get away from me. But hey, I ain't gonna lie, I'm ready to see what these niggas done did, because I ain't gonna lie. Buddy face is looking busted up. Buddy looking busted up, baby. Without too much talking, without further ado, let's get it to the bang. I'm gonna lie, I skip ads. Who is these kids? Top 10. Let me turn this crap on. Wait, what's going on with the sound? Oh, snaps.
These kids were clever enough to circumnavigate that problem. You can't. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Top 10 Trends. Children, you might think they're innocent, harmless, playful, but I know better. Kids are just murderers who are too tiny to inflict real damage. But these.
Yo. Not in the murder way, bro. But babies kill you, bro. I ain't even gonna lie, bro. Bro, they damage your body. Like, if you babysitting, bro, you get no sleep, bro. Like, no cap.
Kids were clever enough to circumnavigate that problem. You can't trust a tiny adult with a retard brain. It's just not.
He said with a retard brain. Look at this nigga teeth. Yo, I was talking about something else, and this nigga teeth is.
Right, and I'll prove it. These are 10 of the most dangerous children in the world. Number 10, James Arsene. James Arsene was the youngest person sentenced to death who was subsequently executed for the crime in the United States. Born in 1862 and dying in 1885, Arsene, a Cherokee, was hanged by the U.S. federal government in Arkansas for his role in a robbery and murder committed 13 years prior when he was 10 years old. He had a Cherokee man named William Archmeal noticed a Swedish national named William making a purchase in a store. They followed him when he left and caught up with him about 2 miles outside of the fort. With robbery as a motive, they shot Fiegel 6 times before crushing his skull with a rock. They then
First of all,
looted
you
his
shot him
corpse,
6 times.
taking his.
Hold on. You shot him 6 times and then you crushed him with a rock, bro? I ain't gonna lie. That kid pull up on me, he gonna get hit with this. With that 669, that 1010. Hell no! No cap.
Money totaling only 25 cents or $5 today. Arsene was arrested and tried for robbery, but escaped and eluded capture until he was apprehended 13 years later. To be fair, it is kind of unreasonable that the U.S. government may have executed a 25-year-old for a crime he committed when he was 10. I would, however, like to point out that a 10-year-old helped shoot a man 6 times, then crush his skull with a rock. Number 9, Mary Bell, an English woman who, as a child aged 10 in 1968, strangled to death 2 young boys in Scotswood.
That bitch crazy.
An inner-city suburb in the west.
Wait, time on. Pause. Her by herself. Strangled 2 boys. Her by herself strangled 2 boys. 2, not 1, 2. She's a killer.
District of Newcastle. She was convicted in December of 1968 of the manslaughter of Martin Brown 4 and Brian Howe 3. She was released from prison in 1980 and lived under a series of pseudonyms. Oh, she's still alive. And lives under a series of pseudonyms. Her identity is protected by court order, which has also been extended to protect the identity of her daughter. In 1998, Bell collaborated with someone on the account of her life, in which she details the abuse she suffered as a child at the hands of her mother. It's never her fault. Whatever. On May 25th in 1968, the day before her 11th birthday, Mary Bell strangled 4-year-old Martin Brown in a derelict house. She was believed to have committed the crime alone.
Yeah, what these niggas doing to her? Like, why she strangling everyone? Why is she strangling everyone, bro? I keep her away from me because I have to hit her with these.
Time in the second killing, she broke into and vandalized the nursery in Scotswood, leaving notes that claimed the responsibility for the killing. Her and her friend, Norma Joyce Bell, took part in the death again by strangulation later in July of 1968. Brian Howe was choked to death in a wasteland in the same Scotswood area. Mary Bell also used a pair of scissors to cut off some of his hair, scratch his legs, and mutilate his genitals. Number 8. Roderick Justin Farrell, or Farrell, I don't really care, he's a murderer. Rod Farrell is an American...
I don't really care. He's a murderer. No.
He was a member of a loose-knit gang of teenagers from Murray, Kentucky, known as the Vampire Clan. Farrell told people that he was a 500-year-old vampire named Visago, a character he created for himself after becoming obsessed with playing the game Vampire the Masquerade. No, I'm not making that up. In 1998, Farrell pleaded guilty to the double slaying of a couple from Eustis, Florida, becoming the youngest person in the United States on death row. In November of 1996, making him 16, Naomi Ruth Queen and Richard Wendorf were found...
Who said being impatient was a bad thing?
I hate ads, bro.
At Universal Technical Institute.
I'm getting paid.
By their daughter Jennifer Wendorf, beaten to death in their home. While Richard was asleep on his couch and Ruth was in the shower, Farrell and his accomplice had entered the home through the unlocked garage, picking up the murder weapon. Before Richard awakened, Farrell beat him multiple times with a crowbar, fracturing his skull and ribs. When Ruth found Farrell and Anderson in the home moments later, Farrell bludgeoned her to death, bashing her head with the crowbar. He was apparently going to allow her to live, but she threw a very hot cup of coffee on him, which made him mad and made him change his mind and kill her also. Delightful. He then branded Richard's body with a V for his vampire name Versace or whatever it was. I'm not going back to check.
What this nigga got on, bro? What this nigga got on, bro? And these niggas, that nigga gay. First of all, why this nigga only... Is that a towel he wrapped up in? Oh no, this nigga wearing a sweater at his waist with no shirt on.
Number 7, Willie Francis. Willie Francis is best known for surviving a failed execution by electrocution in the United States. He was a black Jew.
So he survived execution? Yo, he a real thug, bro. I ain't gonna lie, they should just let him live after that. No cap. I mean, he didn't got executed. I mean, they shot the nigga already. It didn't work. He should live. I mean, that's a punishment, right? To get executed. He just survived the execution. That's tough.
Offender sentenced to death at age 16 in the state of Louisiana in 1945 for the murder of Andrew Thomas. He was 17 when he survived the first attempt to execute him. The chair malfunctioned. After the appeal of his case taken to the U.S. Supreme Court failed, he was then executed 1 year later at age 18. In 1944, Andrew Thomas, a pharmacist, was shot and killed. His murder was unsolved for 9 months, but in 1945, Willie Francis was detained in Texas due to his proximity to an unrelated crime. Police claimed that he was carrying Thomas's wallet in his pocket, though there is no actual evidence of this claim submitted during the trial. Francis named several others in connection with the murder, however, and confessed to Thomas's murder, writing, "It's a secret about me and him." Admittedly, the cards were stacked against Willie. In Louisiana, the jury was required to be all white because only voters could serve. And let's not pretend that in 1945, black people were going to get a fair trial. Come on now. I didn't put Willie on this list because he killed someone. I'm not sure if he did kill someone. He was tried for it, but quite obviously the trial was not completely fair. I put him on this list because he survived being electrocuted. Chair malfunction or not, that's one tough son of a who I don't want coming after me. Number 6, Seisaku Nakamura. Seisaku was a Japanese man.
What type of name is that? Saku Makarana. Saku Makarana. Who named this house? Saku Makarana. Saku Makarana. No.
Convicted for being a serial killer in his teenage years. He's also known as Hamamatsu, Deaf Killer. He was convicted of stabbing to death at least 9 people.
Hamamatsu. They gotta chill with these names.
including several teenagers. He was born deaf. He was very intelligent, achieving high marks in school, but treated poorly by his family and was a social misfit. According to his testimony, in August 22nd of 1938, he attempted to rape 2 women. When they resisted, he murdered them. He was 14 years old at the time. However,
Yo, just go to this corner. Go to the corner and pay for some. You don't gotta murder for some. That is tough. This nigga can't get it. He got a murder. Oh man, that's tough.
murders are often excluded from his serial murders. In 1941, at the age of 17, he killed a 3rd woman and injured a 4th. 2 days later, 3 more people were found dead, murdered by Nakamura. A month later, he murdered his brother, injured his father, his sister, his brother's wife, and his brother's child. A year later, he murdered a couple, their daughter.
This nigga murdered his whole family.
Their son and attempted to rape another daughter. Nakamura went unapprehended for longer than he might have otherwise because it was worried that news about his crimes would cause excessive trouble during the already tense wartime. He was arrested for 9 murders in October of 1942 and admitted to 2 others. He was tried as an adult under wartime law and executed soon
Wait, how
after.
much is that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11.
Your man is stupid.
11 bodies? Not talking about the ones on the sheets. I'm talking about the ones on bow bow, boom boom. That is tough. Like, who raised you? I was like, you killed the ones who raised you too.
Number 5, the Parker
Okay,
Hugh
let me just
murder
get that
case. The case began in the city of Christchurch, New Zealand on the 22nd of June in 1954, where Honora Parker was killed by her teenage daughter, Pauline Parker, and Pauline's close friend. Parker was 16 and her friend was 15 at the time. The murder has inspired plays, novels, non-fiction books, and films, including Peter Jackson's own Heavenly Creatures. The body of Honora Reaper was discovered in Victoria Park in Christchurch, New Zealand in June of 1954. That morning, she had gone for a walk through Victoria Park with her daughter Pauline Parker and Pauline's friend. Approximately 400 feet down the path, in a wooded area near a small bridge, they bludgeoned Reaper to death with half a brick encased in an old stocking. After committing the murder, which they had planned, the 2 girls fled covered in blood back to the tea kiosk where the 3 of them had eaten only minutes before. Police soon discovered the murder weapon and the body in the nearby woods. The girl's story of accidental death fell apart fast. The trial was a sensational affair, speculation about the girls' insanity and being lesbians. Well, DSMV 3, I think, listed as an insanity. Number 4, Christopher Pittman. Christopher Frank Pittman was convicted in 2005 of murdering his grandparents, Joe and Joy Pittman, when he was 12 years old. The case drew national attention in part because of his age, and in part because his defense that the prescription drug Zoloft influenced his actions. Pittman was sentenced to 30 years in prison, which was reduced to 25 years upon repeal. At the age of 12, Pittman ran away from home twice, threatened suicide, was picked up by police, and confined to a facility for troubled or runaway children. He was confined there for 6 days. In November of 2001, after receiving a paddle spanking from his grandfather, Pittman went into his grandparents' bedroom and murdered them with their own shotgun, which he had been taught how to use. He took their car, their
First of all, why are you teaching a 12-year-old how to shoot a shotgun? A shotgun. And if you gonna beat the nigga, at least hide the shotgun after. That's dumb.
his dog $33 and left. He was picked up not so far away because he was a 12-year-old driving a car. But if it weren't for that, I have no doubt he'd be president by now. Capable, that young man. Number 3, Lionel Tate. Lionel Tate is the youngest American citizen ever sentenced to life imprisonment without possibility.
This is how you order all this delivery food
You're not
for
supposed to stop
cheap.
giving ads, bro.
Okay, so first, Domino's.com. Choose your favorite.
Parole. In 2001, when he was 13, he was convicted of first-degree murder for the 1999 battering death of 6-year-old Tiffany Unick in Broward County, Florida. A Florida child, Sam. On July 28, 1999, Tate was left alone with Unick, who was being babysat by Tate's mother. When the children were downstairs playing, Tate's mother called them to be quiet. Tate came up 45 minutes later to say that Unick was not breathing. He stated that they were wrestling. He had her head in a headlock, and the child's head hit a table. Tate was convicted of killing Unick by stomping on her so forcefully that her liver was lacerated. She had other injuries like a fractured skull skull, fractured ribs, and swollen brain. Her injuries were similar to falling from a 3-story building. Number 2, Akiyoshi Umekawa. Umekawa was a Japanese mass murderer who killed a woman in December 16th of 1963 and shot 4 people dead in January of 1979. He was one of the rare criminals who was shot dead by Japanese police. When he was 15 and a minor, he killed a woman. Though he was a murderer, he was still allowed to have guns because Japanese juvenile law protected his criminal history. He wanted to make a big incident 15 years after committing the first murder. He shot dead 2 employees and 2 policemen on January 26th of 1979 during a bank robbery. He took 40 hostages in the bank and then stripped the women of their clothes. And number 1, Peter Woodcock. David?
Why all these killers gotta do something with girls? I haven't except one, that one nigga who killed the grandparents. But like, why they all killing girls, raping them, and then killing them?
You guys ain't cool. You're lame.
God, that is, ooh, y'all gotta chill.
Michael Kruger, better known by his birth name Peter Woodcock, was a Canadian serial killer, child rapist, and diagnosed psychopath. He gained notoriety for the murders of 3 young children in Toronto in the late 1950s, as well as for a murder in 1991, on his first day of unsupervised release from the psychiatric institution for which he was incarcerated for his earlier crimes. As an adopted child, he lived in numerous foster homes as an infant and showed signs of severe emotional trauma when he found a permanent foster home at the age of 3. Unable to adjust to social situations, he was bullied by his peers. Everyone gets bullied. Not everyone rapes kids. He would offer wander from home by foot, bicycle, or train to parts of Toronto.
Everybody don't get bullied. Everybody don't get bullied. Everybody don't get bullied. That's all I gotta say.
He would molest dozens and ultimately murder 3 young children. Wonderful. Found not guilty by insanity for his crimes, he was sent to a psychiatric facility for experimental treatment programs for psychopathy. They proved ineffective, where he murdered a fellow psychiatric patient in 1991. He was probably angry because he got bullied because his last name was Woodcock. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
Alright, y'all, I'm guessing that's the end of this video. I ain't gonna lie. I just heard some crazy stuff. I done seen some crazy stuff. And if I see them, I'm gonna be the next one on this crazy stuff. So y'all see me? Y'all better leave me alone. Y'all better leave me alone, because I ain't gonna play. I got the baseball bat. And I got the yapper. Leave me alone, man. I ain't gonna lie. Hey, y'all. That's the end of this video. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. And